Hey everyone, it's Aliah Henry, and you're listening to The Aliah Henry Show. Expect to hear insightful interviews and panel discussions covering community, entrepreneurship, health, and women's empowerment. Don't miss out. Keep listening. The Aliah Henry Show is up next. I'm your host, Aliah Henry, and today we're talking about philanthropy. Joining me to take a closer look at philanthropy in North Texas are Susan Swan Smith and Chris McSwain from Communities Foundation of Texas. Susan Swan Smith, the Chief Giving Day Officer, leads the team that's charged with producing North Texas Giving Day, the largest community-based giving in the nation. Giving Day is a fundraising juggernaut fueling more than $242 million into North Texas since its debut in 2009. In 2018, $48.5 million was raised, benefiting 2,700 nonprofits. Chris McSwain serves as the Community Engagement Officer. Chris leads the marketing and community engagement initiatives of CFT's North Texas Giving Day, where she is charged with envisioning the way people experience North Texas Giving Day in the marketplace, while encouraging them to embrace their roles as community-minded philanthropists with a specific emphasis on communities of color. Well, Susan and Chris, thank you so much for being on the Aliah Henry Show. I am so excited to have you here.
It's nice to be here.
Thank you for having us.
So I'm going to just jump right into our discussion. One of the challenges that donors often face is determining what organizations to give to. And Communities Foundation of Texas really does that. I mean, you basically help donors make sense of all of their philanthropic efforts.
Yeah.
And so can you explain to us, for those that really don't understand what you all do, talk a little bit about the organization itself.
Well, sure. So Communities Foundation of Texas was founded, as the name implies, to help the community. So our job is to work with individuals and families and companies to help them figure out their philanthropy, help them figure out what causes they're passionate about, whether they want to support big organizations or organizations that are just starting, whether they want to be involved as volunteers, whether they want to get their family involved, whether they want to do endowment funding or build buildings or support operations. So we do it in a variety of ways. Some of it's face-to-face, and some of it's using the computer, like on North Texas Giving Day.
Wow. And you know, it's so interesting. I've been around the organization for such a long time in the nonprofit space as a nonprofit CEO. And so certainly the work that you all do to help partner those donors with nonprofit organizations is truly vital. So, you know, I think we all would appreciate the organization for that.
It's the joy of our work to be able to do that.
Yeah. So North Texas Giving Day is almost here, and we really want to be able to talk a little bit about that, and just in general give us a synopsis for our new listeners that are learning about North Texas Giving Day.
Sure. So North Texas Giving Day is a 18-hour online giving extravaganza. We welcome nonprofits and people who want to support those nonprofits to partner together for this community day of impact. And during that 18-hour time window, people can go online and shop on our website on northtexasgivingday.org to find what organization that they are most attracted to. There's no limit to the number you can give to. We have donors who give over 200 gifts and some who whittle their list down to a few. But it's a really great opportunity for people in the market to figure out what causes they are passionate about and how they can support those causes by way of North Texas Giving Day.
That's wonderful. So let's talk about the impact, the community impact of what North Texas Giving Day has. the results for nonprofits, of course, is definitely, it's going to raise their awareness. Certainly for smaller organizations that aren't really out there as much or don't have larger marketing budgets to do lots of advertising. I mean, definitely this day really does that for them. So it raises their awareness, and it gives them increased revenue value. I mean, obviously the goal and their hope is for their agency to bring in some more dollars in revenue during that time frame. But what about that? Let's talk for a moment about the effect that the giving has back on our donors. Like, how does it impact our community? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, one of the things we hear is that the community loves coming together, that many of our donors give because they're passionate about a cause, but a significant portion of them say they want to be part of something bigger than they are.
Yeah.
In this day and age, it's so hard to come together and feel like a neighborhood. So it lets them do that. Many of our nonprofits will say right on their giving page, this is what a $25 gift will do. This is what a $50 gift will do. So a donor will know right as she's making her gift the impact it's going to have on that individual nonprofit.
Yeah, that's really great. So, and I want to, just talk a little bit about, it's so interesting. So we talked a little bit earlier on our first episode about what philanthropy means. And I know for me, I learned a while ago from a mentor at work who talked about, when you give, you really truly are a philanthropist, whether you give $5 or you give, $2 million. What does philanthropy mean for you all? What does that do for you?
That's a good question. You want to do that one first?
Well, so here, I'll approach that question this way. We want everyone to wrap their arms around philanthropy. For many people, philanthropy can sound like a big, scary word because it seemingly has had this connotation that you have to have millions and millions of dollars and you have to be giving it all to one place. But really, we're encouraging people to accept their role as philanthropists. If it's a $5 gift or a $50,000 one, if it's an hour at a soup kitchen a week, or if it's an opportunity for you to lend your expertise to a nonprofit that needs some support on their operations or marketing, there's a way that you're giving, whether that's your time, your talent, or your treasure. And so we're encouraging people, no matter how old, no matter what area they come from in the community, to embrace their role as a giver, and that can look like many things. And so that's what North Texas Giving Day does. It really rallies people around what they're able to give and helps pair them with who they want to give to. So that's how we're encouraging everyone to give, from the smallest to the oldest.
Mm-hmm.
And there are actually studies now that giving back is good for your health. Whether you're giving your funds or your time.
It does make you feel good. I mean, it really does. I think, for me personally, I would say that too. I enjoy being able to know that if we've done just a little bit. I remember last year we did a project with Vogel Alcove. Mm-hmm. Actually, TJ, my son, did the project. He made, they're called, I think they're called snack bags. And so, they have close to 120 children a day. And most of those children, their meals that they have really are being just eaten there at the school. Mm-hmm. And so these snack bags go home with them every night. And so TJ did these bags, and so you color the bags. And I just watched him as we were coloring and we were talking. And he was talking about kids that just, maybe they didn't have anything to eat. And, it was really it was a fun project, but it really showed me that even at their age, that's when you start pouring into our kids about giving back and what they can do. Because this project for him, I mean, you would have thought he just wrote them a $50,000 check, because he was giving his time, and he was very strategic, even about the drawings on the bags, because he was like, well, we have to do some for girls and some for boys, because there's boys and there's girls at the homeless shelter. So and so there was just that dialogue of that. So I really do think that you're right. Philanthropy really makes you feel good. It just warms your heart.
This year we've implemented curriculum for young people who don't have a mom like you to encourage that.
Oh, that's
So actually
awesome.
on the website are available lesson plans from grade 3 all the way up through high school,
Oh, that is so
which it
great.
encourages them to research nonprofits, figure
Okay.
out who they want to support, and has some projects that they can do no matter what your age.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
on top of that, it helps young people uncover careers in the field.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I don't know that people know that you can be a professional philanthropist or help guide people along their philanthropy, and so it introduces career opportunities that might become available to them later on in life. So it's just a great tool to start them while they're young to get them primed to be givers.
Yeah, and it's just interesting, and I won't date my age, but I just remember being in college, and you know, you tend to decide what you're going to do. Well, I remember my grandmother spurring out two things. You know, well, you either go into education or you become a nurse.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And I was kind of like, but what if I don't want to do
Right,
either of those
right.
paths? And so it really is exciting that there's so many different career choices that individuals can make. So that's great.
Yeah.
Well, again, there are so many factors that influence giving, just in general. Let's talk a little bit. So, Chris, your role is new to the organization, just about a year. And you know, you are now responsible for engaging these communities. Talk a little bit, and primarily communities of color. So, Susan, obviously there was some gap that you as that you and the organization saw that needed to be filled. Talk a little bit about the gap, and then I want you to share with us some of the things that you're doing within your role to help that bridge that gap.
Sure.
Well, about 2 years ago, we decided to step back and really plan for North Texas Giving Day's future. We've just been doing 1 year at a time.
Okay.
And we thought, okay, let's take a deep breath, and where do we want to go? And as we did that, we realized that while we have a lot of generous people participating, they look like me. It's
Okay.
middle-aged white women.
Okay.
And we weren't attracting younger people, and we weren't attracting people of color. And so we felt for two reasons it was important to do it. One, it's the right thing to do. We want our work to affect our community. We want the people we work with to reflect our community. And it's the smart thing to do. The future of this city is going to be people of color. It's all the leadership is already. And so we wanted to be part of that. So bringing somebody on with Chris's experience to do what she's doing was really important to moving that strategy forward.
Well, that's great. It's wonderful. Chris, talk a little bit about your role and what are the things, I would say not your role, but what do you foresee you continuing to do, and what have you done within this past year to kind of rev up? Because, you know, one of the things that I will share as an African American leader of a nonprofit, it's sometimes difficult to be introduced to certain donors where maybe you don't travel in the same circles. And I have always used and utilized Communities Foundation of Texas, the giving officers, for that help. Maybe not all of my colleagues had, you know, maybe made that connection, but I know that that's where it helped me, and the organization helped me with my organization at the time.
Yeah, so I think the key thing is to build relationships across the board. So in donor communities and in the nonprofit community, it's really important that CFT be seen as a resource accessible and available to everyone. So my first priority is to just be out and to be meeting people and to let them know that we are available as a resource no matter what they need. And so if it's, you know, you need a convening space so that, you know, your organization can have a meeting, you can engage your constituency. We are a place where you can do that. And so I've been intentionally and strategically partnering with organizations in that way so that they can come into our space, so that we can share with them what we do and how we want to avail ourselves to them, and partnering in that way. I'm also going to where they are, so going into areas of the city that may not be familiar with CFT because of proximity or because of seeming relevance, and so just sharing that there is a connection point that we have. We all at CFT want to build thriving communities, and so whether you work in the nonprofit space in a particular community of color where there is a need, we share with them, we want to help meet that need, and this is a way that we want to bridge the gap. And so everything has been centered around relationship building. It's making connections and letting people know that there is an opportunity for them to learn, grow, connect, and share at CFT, and really looking at North Texas Texas Giving Day as a great unifier, no matter where you come from. And so if your gift, like I said, is $5, there is still significance in that gift. And so it's kind of just demystifying what it means to give, what it means to be involved in a community, and really helping people own their spaces as community changers and community builders. So that's really been my primary role in this first year, just getting to know people, getting to learn what they need and how we can help them.
That's really great. Give us a couple of examples of some of the events that have happened at Communities Foundation of Texas, because there's been a few, but I want to paint that picture for people so that they'll understand what types of things to look for as well.
Sure. So last year we started a new initiative called the Hispanic Ambassador Council, and so we called together nonprofit leaders in business, and then people who just were revved up and passionate about joining us, and they began to act as advisors for us with teaching us how we could better engage the Hispanic community. And so it started with things like, make sure that you have your signage and marketing materials available in both English and Spanish, and they really helped us just understand some cultural competencies that would make us more relevant in the marketplace. So having that group of advisors, really looking to them to help us, and us being available to them, was a great initiative. Last week we hosted the Dallas-Fort Worth Urban League Young Professionals General Body meeting, and it was a meeting that was centered around talking about philanthropy. That is a group of African American young professionals, and so August being Black Philanthropy Month was a really key time for us to have a conversation about philanthropy. And so we welcomed them into our space. When I took a poll of the room, about 85% of the room had never been to CFT before, and so it was a brand new connection for them to understand that we are a place of convening and gathering and sharing. And so just making that connection was really important to me. And so we continue to do that with other groups. We're also working with, have partnered with Heritage Giving Circle this year. They are newly joining North Texas Giving Day as participants, and so we're supporting them in their efforts to think about how we can support how they're supporting the community by way of their giving circle. So we're just partnering in really unique ways with individual groups to make sure that everyone has access and that they can connect with CFT via the different tools and inlets that we have.
And that's exciting. Of course, you know, Heritage Giving Circle's near and dear to my heart, as well. And so, again, I'm just excited. I'm excited about the discussion, and I'm excited that CFT really has taken a good look at that in terms of seeing the gap, but not just seeing the gap, actually putting it into action, putting someone in place to really get out in the community and bring those efforts coming in as you're doing. I think it's really incredible. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. There's a lot of work to do, but we feel like we've made a good start, and we're taking it very seriously.
No, I mean, it's great. I mean, just hearing and seeing the things that are happening, you know, as an African American leader, it is so important. And it's vital that we see that. And when we do see it, it does make things feel more inclusive. Definitely. So I have another question here. So talk a little bit about what is next. You know, you talked a little bit about North Texas Giving Day, and you kind of looked at it year by year, and now you've done a little bit more, maybe some strategy planning that's a little bit long term. What's next? You know, $48.5 million is an awful lot of money to raise. And I think the community at some point understands that, wow, does it get bigger than that? Or do we maintain? What's the goal? What's the excitement for this year going forward? Because again, you know, it was a lot. I mean, when I was an ambassador for a couple of years, and I always thought, oh my goodness, we got to do more next year, you know? And now I'm looking at the numbers and I'm thinking, how do you top it?
Yeah.
Well, there are a couple of things. That 48.5 is a lot of money. We really hope to hit $50 million this year. But we as a team are paying more attention, at least as much attention, to the number of donors we have.
Okay.
So our goal for this year is 100,000 donors, which would be more than a 23% increase over last year. because we want to grow the power and spirit of philanthropy, and part of that is bringing more people into the fold. So I know everybody's always going to pay attention to the dollars, but we're paying attention to the numbers of donors too, and to the breadth of causes that they're supporting. So that's on the horizon for us. Last year, for the first time, we involved a volunteer component, so you could give your time as well as your money. And we were blown away. Tens of thousands of people volunteered their time. They volunteered 400,000 hours of time, pledged 400,000 hours of time. So this year we're giving them opportunities to do service projects around North Texas Giving Day. So we're excited about that. We are really delighted to be able to tell you, you're the first media person we've told, but there are now 3,000 nonprofits participating in North Texas Giving Day.
That's exciting.
So we're up from 2,700. So
that's really exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you. There's more geographic diversity to those nonprofits, more small nonprofits involved. So we think that's the future. We want to do more to train nonprofits to build their capacity. Giving Day is wonderful, but it's one day a year, and we see a big part of our job, and a big part of what Chris's marketing team does, is prepare them to raise money year round. Give them fundraising tools that they can use on an ongoing basis. So we're in the second year of our plan, so we've got a couple more years to go, but those are the general outlines of where we're headed.
This has really been an exciting conversation. Obviously, for me, being a part of North Texas Giving Day on multiple years was really exciting, just as a leader in the community. And so for me, just to see the growth, and I've actually been a part of it since day one, as my first organization that I was in. So to see where it is now is like, it totally blows you away. And obviously Susan knows, she's been there as well. But you really are coming into an amazing organization that is really putting their time, the talents, everything out there to the community. And I think it's really important. And I like seeing the growth, again, as a leader, as being an African American leader, and seeing where we were in 2009, starting in probably before it was Donor Bridge, even, so I can take you way back. And so even then, I mean, but to see where it is, it's like shy of amazing. It's just pretty cool.
Well, you've been a great friend ever since the beginning.
Well, I tell you, it's amazing, and I think it's important. And it's important, like you said, Chris, no matter what level you want to give. And I think if we just continue to share that message that everybody can be a philanthropist with your time and your talents and your gifts.
September 19th is a wonderful day to do it. If you're busy on the 19th, you can schedule your gifts starting on the 9th, so between the 9th and the 19th.
Well, this has been just a wonderful discussion. Thank you for joining me. Is there anything else that you need for us in the community and my new listeners to know about what you're doing?
I would just say get up and give. Come September 9th, just take a walk through our website. Read some of the stories. Some of the nonprofits are really doing fantastic work if you allow yourself this time to just go through and see and uncover kind of what you're passionate about, but allow yourself to be newly inspired by some of the new missions and organizations and opportunities. Allow yourself that time, just like you would on Amazon. You end up looking for one thing and you find something else. Allow yourself that time and space to give and support, and then tell a friend to come along. There are so many people in this region in North Texas. 100,000 people is just a mere drop in the bucket. So get up and give, bring a friend, tell a friend, become an advocate and ambassador, and help us make history.
Well, Susan, Chris, thank you so much for spending some time to talk about Communities Foundation of Texas and the impact of North Texas Giving Day.
Thank you.
It's
for
our pleasure.
having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Aliah Henry Show. Remember, be bold enough to use your voice, brave enough to listen to your heart, and strong enough to live the life you've always imagined. See you next time.